Hi, this is Dr. Harhari from Transformational Healing Universe in Los Angeles. And I want to talk to you today about this very special healing chamber. It's called a plasma field healing chamber. And I'll tell you a little bit of background about this technology. I first found out about this type of healing about 10 years ago through a foundation called Keshe Foundation, Keshe. You can Google it and read more about it. When I first heard about it, it sounded too good to be true, to be honest with you. When I was like, how could water or liquid actually help people? Like, I didn't quite get it back then. And then about 5 years ago, I heard a lecture from an engineer from the Department of Defense who was basically kind of a self-trained genius engineer who had been working for the DoD for over 30 years. And he was talking about this technology himself, about how powerful it was for healing. And I'm like, wow, if this guy's saying it's powerful, maybe it is legit. And then, nothing happened. I didn't know anybody who had the technology. This was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And last October, I got contacted by one of my patients who said, hey, you need to meet this kid. He came here from Canada and he was called by his spirit to come to LA because he wants to share this special healing technology. I said, sure, bring him in. And so he came in and we sat down and he handed me a little vial, a little tube of this liquid, which I'll explain to you in a second what this is. But he handed me a vial and I held it in my hand for about 20 minutes. Okay, I had this vial in my hand sitting at my desk and we were talking and he was explaining to me how it worked. And I'm like, yeah, I've heard about it. I've heard it's good. And then after about 20 minutes, I started to notice that I was feeling very euphoric and kind of high. And I said, well, is this what it does? And they're like, yeah, it releases stuff in your energy field. I'm like, wow, I can feel it. This is amazing. And then he said, yeah, I want to build you guys a chamber here because literally I'm called by God to do that. And I'm like, really? This is amazing. Because I was already kind of pre-sold on the idea from this previous guy that I'd heard, years before. So I kind of believed in it already. And then when I actually experienced it, I was like, wow. And this was just from a little tube of this liquid. So we've had this chamber built. We've had it now since beginning of January. And I can tell you that every person, just about, there's only been a few people, I would say, but 95% of the people who go in this chamber, they come out with a big smile on their face. They're very happy. And I'll tell you what the concept is, and then you're welcome to come try it. We're doing demos here at the clinic. But basically, you go inside of this chamber and you're surrounded by this liquid, this plasma field, which is being created by this liquid, okay? So this tube has seawater and this one has iron. And now these are special liquid. It's called a GANS or a plasma field Ormus. It's a high spin electron fluid that creates a plasma field. So when you go inside of this thing, look inside. So we slide people in on this pad and you lay inside of here, okay? And when you're in there, it creates what's kind of called like a Faraday cage, which means you're protected from the outside frequencies of the world, the Wi-Fi, the cell phone, all those frequencies that we're constantly bombarded with. This is kind of giving you a shield from that for a brief period of time. And it's also the field itself, the plasma field, creates the conditions of being in the mother's womb. So the cells have a chance to kind of reset and go into a very nurturing kind of cosmic womb state. And so it's very soothing, very relaxing. Even going in here for 10 or 20 minutes, you feel very refreshed. All the stress just gets lifted out of your energy field and you feel amazing. An example I have on my own life, I've been telling people about, because when bad things happen to me, I always take it as a challenge to see how I can heal myself, right? So I broke my foot about 6 weeks ago. And the first thing I did, because I was in shock, kind of, it was a pretty bad break. I went in the chamber and I just curled up like an injured animal and I fell asleep in there for about 5 hours. And the cool thing is when I came out, when I awoke after being in this chamber, I literally did not know that I had a broken foot, even though my foot was just recently broken. I had had no medical attention at that point. I hadn't even had it x-rayed. I'm pretty sure it was badly injured though. And it was confirmed 2 days later. It was a complete fracture. But anyway, going in that chamber really took the trauma and the stress out of my energy field, where I felt completely at ease and at peace. So we've seen another example that was amazing, that really shows the power of this thing. Is we had a guy who came in who was a Navy SEAL. And ever since he got out of the service 20 years ago, he's been suffering with severe insomnia. And he went in the chamber one time for 1 hour, and he called me the next night. He said, "You know what? I need to tell you something." And I was like, "Well, it's 9:30 at night. What are you going to tell me?" He goes, "I went to bed last night for the first time in 20 years and slept." He goes, "You know what kind of miracle that is?" I'm like, "Wow, that's amazing." So he, was very inspired by that whole, being in this chamber. So that's just an example. But not everybody has such an extreme case. But the bottom line is, regularly going in this chamber brings you back to your neutral, harmonic self. And that's why we have it here. It's really an amazing, amazing therapy that is not found anywhere in the world. This is the only chamber in the world that's in a clinic. And the Keshe Foundation, just so you know, they're making these available now to wealthy individuals. They're charging $500,000 to $1 million to buy one of these chambers. So this is a very special therapy. And once again, if you have any questions, comments, leave them below, and share this with your friends, your family. Everybody needs to know about this technology. This is the healing of the future, folks. Thanks for watching.